Now, what were you saying? Something about hats and long sleeve shirts?
Yeah, it's long sleeve shirt season.
It's long sleeve shirt season, ladies and gentlemen.
Order your long sleeve shirts or hoodies.
All right, I've got a hat here, and we'll have. You know what I got to do too? Do a pre-sale on shirts and hats.
Oh, for York.
For York.
Oh, okay.
So I'll do that. I'll make an announcement about that, but I'll also remind people about hats and long sleeve shirts for winter.
Yeah, they want
okay.
Shirts or hoodies, right?
And
you do with a zipper, without a zipper.
Right.
Whatever.
Okay. You got my message on trivia for tonight. You know what that is?
But trivia, yeah, it's.
Don't say the name now.
Oh no! The prize is in a drawer taillight.
Right. Okay. You'll get to that in a second. I have to start the show. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Cookie. Love you.
I'm Gary Semix, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abbate.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Abbate. Welcome to the show, Vintage Motocross Q&A. We're back and we are live. Susie is with me tonight. Susie, where are you?
Hi.
Ah, there you are. What's happening there, Susie? You got any gifts tonight? What are we giving away?
Oh, we're giving away this awesome Enduro taillight assembly.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Preston Petty. Right.
Who gets that though? Are we giving that away to the viewer?
Trivia, because it's trivia.
Oh, trivia.
No.
Okay.
Trivia night.
Yeah.
It's the first of the month, trivia, and then we have grips.
Right.
Grips for the viewer appreciation.
Viewer appreciation grips.
Yeah.
All right, Suze. We will be back with you in a little while. In the meantime, we're going to continue on with the show. Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, I was upset last Tuesday that the Yankees lost. But I wasn't upset this Tuesday. But enough about that.
Oh, no.
I want to thank my sponsors, Motion Pro, Vintco, Preston Petty Products, Replica, MotorcycleParts.com, Racer X, the Moto Barn, the International Motocross Museum, Full Circle Racing, my dear friend Mike Chamberlain, and of course, all the help we get from FastGuyStuff.com and Fred Hudgens over at Durf. Nothing like getting some fresh AMSOIL in your bike, car, or truck. They make grease. They make all sorts of great cleaners, including a window product that is absolutely second to none. Get over to AMSOIL today. You know what? If you want to do something, you want to help AMSOIL and help me and help yourself, $49.95. You get 4 AMSOIL products that you see there in the picture. Also, you get a nice sticker for your trailer or the back of your truck, and you will get a Vintage Motocross Q&A shirt just like that. You get some koozies, stickers, oils, all for $49.95. Not a bad deal. You get your name up on the board for a month, and you get some nice products there too. You could always PayPal us if you want to make a donation. It is in the description of the show. It's the first link, I think. So get over to PayPal or whichever form of payment you want to use at PayPal if you want to make a donation in any amount to Vintage Motocross Q&A. Paul Stannard, Preston Petty Products. Thank you. Yep, Susie mentioned it just a little bit ago. We do have that rear enduro fender mud flap accessory that's brand new from Preston Petty Products. Don't forget to keep sharing the show. Whether you're on Facebook or you are on YouTube, we'll have some grips from Preston Petty Products for some of our viewer appreciation guys that are out there tonight. Now, we've got a great little video coming up right now from our friend Roy Vanderveur. And he's not just a friend, Roy. I mean, he really is a big contributor to the show. And we've got a couple of really good ones out there that help us, including Jerry Maddox, Roy, and a few more. But right now, let's get over and see what Roy has to say about drilling your piston for lubrication. Very, very important, and here's the right way to do it. Roy, what do you got for us this week?
And on tonight's edition of Next Time Try This, I want to talk to everybody about pistons and another well-kept secret that everybody should know about, but the piston manufacturers have kind of forgotten to tell anybody. And it pertains to cylinders that have bridged exhausts. Okay, if we look at this, see there's this section right here that runs down the middle of the exhaust port. That's called an exhaust bridge. So you send your cylinder out to be bored. The technician who's bored your cylinder knows that the exhaust bridge has to be relieved. So that step's usually taken care of. But then it comes time for you to install the piston in your cylinder. And you get your new piston and you look at it and it looks like this. When the one you took out looks like this. This piston has two holes in it, and those holes are there to cool and lubricate the exhaust bridge. The reason this piston has no holes is because not only does it fit the CR 125, let's see if we can get that to focus, which has an exhaust bridge, but it also fits the MT 125, which does not have an exhaust bridge. So it is up to the end user to add these holes. The way I do it, and it's imperative, you have to put the piston on the rod, put the cylinder on the piston, rings don't need to be in place, and then you have to mark the top of the piston right where the exhaust bridge is. And then I use tape to run a line down the front of the piston so I can see the exact path that that bridge will follow. Now, you have to put the piston on the rod and the cylinder on the piston because the bridge is almost never dead center on the center line of the piston. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but that is clocked ever so slightly to the right. And the exhaust goes out the right side of the cylinder. So it stands to reason that this is just a little bit off the center line. So we mark it with our magic marker, which gives us the ability to know where the bridge is. Then I'll also mark the ring lands right on the front, which gives me a little bit more of a bird's eye view of what's going on. Then I run the tape. Then I use my center punch and center punch it. I've already drilled the holes so that we don't have to spend time doing that right now. And then it's okay, where do the holes go? They go 6 millimeters below the first ring land, and then the second hole goes 6 millimeters below the first hole. I like to use a 1/16 inch drill bit, and then once things are all said and done, I'll take a larger drill bit like this. I've already done it, and I just use that to gently deburr the hole. You can just twist it by hand, and that puts a nice little chamfer on the edges of the vent holes. So with that, you are now ready to install your piston and get out to the racetrack. And to be perfectly clear, this is not a Vintco thing. It's not a Wiseco thing. All of the brands do it. The one thing that disappoints me a little bit is what they don't do is include any information on the instruction sheet about being on the lookout as to whether or not you have an exhaust bridge, and if you do, what you should do with it. So with that, that wraps up today's edition of Next Time Try This. And for sure, be on the lookout if you've got a bike that has an exhaust bridge, and I got a little row. All these pistons all have bridged exhausts. These are modern 125s. This is a vintage. This is the CR 125. If you've got exhaust bridge, you got the bleed holes on the front of the piston to coal and lubricate the exhaust bridge. Over and out.
Thank you, Roy, with another great video. A lot of good, useful information up there. A little bit later on in the show, we're going to have another video from Jerry Maddox that talks more about jetting and really kind of the theory of that and how that all works. So stick around. We'll have more about that. But right now, we got to take a commercial break.
I'm Dave Arnold. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abbate. We'll be right back.
Vintco, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with Vintco rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike suspension. The Vintco air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit Vintco.com to check out the air shocks and all that Vintco has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
Yeah, Vintco's got some specials going on. It is dune season, as they say here in California. They've got some new pistons kits for your 87 Suzuki LT 250R, and they've got them in all different sizes. Believe it or not, they're making things for quads and three-wheelers as well. Get over to Vintco.com. As always, free shipping on any orders over $200. As you heard Sue browbeating me a little bit earlier about trying to sell stuff, she wants me to sell stickers. So come on, guys, buy some stickers, buy some hats, and help out a worthy cause, me living inside, all right? Have you ever heard of Sirius Studio? No, you've never heard of Sirius Studio because it's something brand new and it's something put together by a longtime acquaintance of mine, and his name is Larry Winter. Here's Larry here in the yellow Yamaha shirt. I just saw him last weekend, and he was taking a moment to speak to me and Donnie Hansen as well as Ricky Johnson. What Larry has done is put together a clothing line called Sirius Studio, and it's geared toward the moto family, toward that moto life, okay? So you got your hats and you got your shirts, and it's got a little bit of moto logo on some things. And the quality of the shirts is really second to none. It's a really nice blend of material. It's very smooth. And I got to see some samples of it down at Langston's when we were there last weekend. So whether you need a gear bag like this, or you need a hat, or you're looking for some shirts, maybe even some hoodies, you get a hold of Larry Winter. And it's right here behind me. See this? It's right here. His website. We're going to be doing more with Studio and with Larry. We're going to have him on for a little interview so we could talk more about that. But it just came to be in the past couple of days. I want to thank Larry for getting on board with us, and I want to wish him well with all his new products from Sirius Studios. What's it worth? What's It Worth is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Be sure to see my dear friend Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing for your nipple, spokes, lacing, and truing, whatever you might need for your motorcycle. What's it worth? We're looking at a 1974 Honda CR 125. This bike popped up thanks to Bill Mashow on our Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page. So I'm going to go through some of the pictures as I read from the text, and you tell me what you think this bike recently sold for. If you get it correct or within 5%, well, we always play that, give you a little leeway at the end. I'll have a nice gift pack for you. All right, put together something special for you from Amsoil, probably from just Amsoil. They got a lot of cool stuff, and they're very, very generous to us. Russell Waters. 1974 Honda CR 125 Elsinore was acquired 2023 as a subsequent refurbishment is said to have included overhauling the 123cc two-stroke engine. Included in the replacement parts were piston rings, gaskets, seals, as well as rebuilding the can carburetor, relacing the wire spoke wheels, and refurbishing the bike in silver with green and black graphics. The motorcycle also features a 6-speed transmission, a Kickstarter. Well, isn't that nice? And an expansion chamber exhaust system, a leading axle front fork, preload, adjustable rear shocks. It also has rear drum brakes, a reupholstered seat, high-mounted fenders, aftermarket front and rear side panels, which have been repainted, crossbar handlebars with replacement grips and controls, as well as cables. CR125 is offered in Florida at no reserve. The bike was repainted to silver and green. It also has some black graphics. It's got a 1.6-gallon fuel tank. It's got the correct Honda logo on it as well. Additional details include a chrome moly semi-double cradle frame, a reupholstered seat, aftermarket front and side panels, and they just talk over and over about the same stuff over and over again. Now, as I'm going through these pictures, and I don't want to go too far and pop up what the price is on this bike, your Uncle Joe's going to tell you a few things that are wrong with it. Number one, it's got a Honda MT125 tank. Over here, you can see where the grommet is incorrect, but it is incorrect due to the fact that that hole right there in that tank to mount it is not the way it should be. Same thing with the petcock back here. Is the tank shape the same? Yeah, it is, but it's not exactly the correct tank for the bike. Furthermore, we have a broken Kickstarter, and one of my favorite things on a bike is to have the wiring harness taped up with electrical wire just like this. All the hardware is incorrect. The cases look too glossy for my taste. I see someone did some kind of a moved up shock treatment here on this bike sometime during its life. It was never removed. There's some discoloration around the edge of these rims, front and rear. I don't know what that's about. I have a pretty good idea of how that happened. I got a feeling that these are XL rims. Somebody tried to remove the XL logo on there, which is anodized. And once you go to take that off, well, that's what you get. Here we have on this side, what's positive here? It's got the right Kickstarter. I like that. Front forks look pretty good. The cables, they look pretty good as well. The silver, I think, is correct. The green is way off. So there you have it. What do you think that bike recently sold for? Whoever comes closest is going to get a nice gift pack, compliments of Russell Waters and AMSOIL. $3,500, $5,500. This bike sold for $4,100 plus another $200 buyer premium. Anybody that got under $4,300, I will give the prestigious AMSOIL award to. Anybody under $4,300 there?
Vanderveer.
Roy Vanderveer? He'll probably pass Roy.
Well, he said 3,000, and let me see who said.
Anybody else there close to 4,100, I will get them something, compliments of Russell Waters and AMSOIL. In the meantime, I want to thank Bill Mascio and everyone over at the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page that I started about 8 years ago. When you find someone, Susie, you let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to go on to a little announcement that our friend Tom McAllister is involved in. Is an MX or Supercross raffle. You can win a ticket. All right, let me slow down here. You can win a trip for two to the Arizona Supercross in 2025. That includes 2 tickets, airfare, a night at hotel stay, and yeah, you're going to be right down there on the floor at the Arizona Supercross. How do you do that? Well, guess what? I'm going to have to make this bigger so I can tell you how to do it. It's a raffle, and the tickets are $20, 3 for $50. Go over to www.wsmchof.org. That's wsmchof.org, and you can buy tickets, $20 a piece or 3 for $20. Thank you, Tom McAllister. And yeah, it's a really, pretty generous thing going on there. Get over to the Arizona Supercross. Once I get back to where I need to be here, everything will be a whole lot smoother. Susie, did you get a winner for the
No.
No winner.
No.
Nobody got 40. Nobody got 4,100.
No, the closest one is Vanderveer. He passed.
He passed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look,
The next one is Alan Huey. Is 4,600.
and nobody else.
No.
Alan Huey's the winner because this is my show.
Ah!
Alan Huey, send me your address and I will get you a nice little gift pack, compliments of AMSOIL and Russell Waters. In the meantime, we've got a little notice or a little announcement here that comes every week from our friend Full Circle Racing. Here we go. Someday I'll have a real show where somebody presses all these buttons for me.
Yeah.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple, it's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
Thank you, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing, for your years of support here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. And I've put some bikes out the door as well over the past few years with Full Circle Racing wheels on it. Another sponsor that does us a wonderful service, Sunrise Vapor Blasting. They're in Modesto, California. If you're going to put it in a box and mail it to somebody, you might as well mail it to Mark Ferriester at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Turnaround time is fantastic, and his prices, you can't believe it. You'll never go out and buy a bead blaster or a vapor honing machine when you see the prices, the turnaround time, and the quality of service, Susie.
I know. Why not?
From Mark Ferriester at Sunrise Vapor
Did you
Blasting.
say fantastic?
Who?
Did you say fantastic or
No, I said Mark Ferriester.
Oh, I thought you said fantastic, like sandblasting.
No.
Oh, okay.
Boy, I'll tell you, you got a rough crowd here. 20% off everything at Motion Pro while this special still goes on. The first of the year is coming up, and that might change. 20% off everything except custom-made cables. Here's another reminder, so I don't wind up sleeping on the couch. Get a mug, a hat, a koozie, some stickers. They're all available at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Yeah, we've got hats, and we're going to have specials going on for the hats too in the not too distant future. And I've got, you know what? I forgot to mention it when I was talking a little bit earlier about the Larry Winter, our new sponsor. Is up there on the board. Sirius Studio. I got one of her shirts on. I feel like a race car with new tires when I put this thing on. I'll tell you, Susie. Oh, I'm ready to go. Be sure to get over there and see that website put up by Larry Winters, okay? I got to take another commercial break because coming up in just a moment is the Jeff Kokoski segment of Did You Know? And I will be filibustering until tomorrow. So you got to really, really be prepared for that. So let's get a little commercial squeezed in here. And then
Hi, you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back. We gotta pray, Rick. We gotta pray. After this prayer.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
The International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit organization. It's a 501c3 organization, okay? So when you go over there and you buy something, it is 100% tax deductible. They've got hats, shirts, koozies, the coolest posters you have ever seen. They've got a Bob Hanna limited edition autograph poster right now. They're going to sell out. I don't even know if I should have made that announcement. They could be sold out already. Also, some really... Well, he is a sponsor, so I do have to mention that he has hats too. Terry good takes pretty good care of me. So they do have some hats over there as well at the International Motocross Museum. They are stitched. They're beautiful. Be sure to go over and get one sometime after the show. I am going to move up the trivia contest, Susie, so you have a little time to sort through things because it's not going to be a call-in contest tonight. People are going to write the answer in. Okay, people are going to write the answer in. So I am going to give you the question right now. Put on your thinking caps. Then we're going to go back. We're going to go to the Moto Showcase, and I'll check back with Susie in just a little while to find out if she has an answer. All right, everybody strapped in?
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. He won the 250 and 500 national motocross titles. This is outdoor, not supercross, in 1 year. In the same year. Think about what I'm saying, guys. I'm not talking about an Emig or a McGrath. I'm not talking about even the great Donnie Hansen, who won a supercross and an outdoor. I'm talking about outdoor motocross, 250 and 500 in the same year. Who is he? What year did it happen? First one to type in the answer is going to get... Oh, they're getting the mud flap. They're getting that rear tail light mud flap combination from...
You didn't give me the year.
No, I'm not giving you the
No,
year.
you're not.
You got to give me the year and the writer.
You didn't give me I don't know the year. I know the writer.
Here. Don't lip it, Sue. They're going to see.
Right, just write it down.
The year after we got married.
Okay.
You got that?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Oh my God, the things I have to do here. The Moto Showcase, is that where I am? Moto Showcase, here it is. It's brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Be sure to get over to their website, PrestonPetty.com. Paul Stannard, a longtime supporter of the show. And it's Christmas, Paul. You always send me a nice box of wonderful goodies, compliments of Fortuna Sausage Company. Yep, there it is again. That's the way it looks on the back of the fender. Also, at Preston Petty Products, there's all these great fenders and things that we've all loved since the early 70s. Tonight's Moto Showcase is sent in to us by Bob and Heather Sawicki. I hope they don't mind that I went over to their Facebook page and lifted this picture. I also hope it actually is Bob and Heather Sawicki because I don't really know them personally. Anyway, here's the bike. It's a 1986 Yamaha YZ125 I bought from a salvage yard a couple of years ago, originally in Wisconsin. The bike was mostly complete when I purchased it, or so I thought. Upon tearing it down, I found the rear wheel wasn't original and almost every nut bolt washer was incorrect. I knew it needed an exhaust throttle assembly and later found out the original carb was cracked. Hunting down parts was pretty extensive. First, starting out with the wheels, I contacted Buchanan for spokes and I sourced the rear hub on eBay. Luckily, I have a lot of friends who also love vintage motocross like myself, and we were able to obtain the rest of the parts to make it complete and running again. I went with the white frame instead of red because I wanted it to look more European. And with the Chesterfield livery, I believe I achieved just that. I think you did, Bob. I happen to love the way that bike looks with the white seat and the white graphics on it, of course, with the red Chesterfield. Attached are some pictures. One is the day I wheeled it out of the garage. Thank you for your time, Joe, and thank you for helping me with the questions I had while building this bike. It was absolutely my pleasure. Bob and Heather, thank you both for sending that bike in. It looks like you've won some awards with it when you've had it out there at some shows. It absolutely is a beautiful little bike. And we're going to get you a set of, what am I giving, Bob? Is he getting the grips? Yeah.
He's getting the grips?
No, wait a minute.
This is.
You know what? I get confused every week. You know, no, Bob, you're going to get here. Let me do this.
Why don't you give me?
Let me put myself back on screen. Okay, first of all, Bob, you're going to get an Amsoil gift pack as well. So I got two guys getting Amsoil.
No.
Don't tell me no, because I said I was giving somebody Amsoil a little bit ago,
Oh, but he said he didn't want it.
but he didn't want it. Okay.
That was Vanderveer.
Okay. But Bob's going to get it. Bob Sawicki. All right, Susie.
Yeah.
I put up the trivia question. Nobody has the answer yet?
No.
He did it in 1987. All right, I'll read the question to you again.
Read it again. They would still get it now.
I'll read the question to you again once I find it. Grand. Here it is.
There it is.
He won the 250 and 500 motocross titles, that is outdoor, not supercross, in 1 year. You now know the year is 1987. Name the guy. 1987. Think about that. Outdoor, not supercross and then in the spring and summer motocross. No, he won both 250 and 500 outdoor, 1987.
No, boys, you're not getting it right.
Well, then I'm going to keep rolling here.
Oh, somebody just got it. Somebody just got it.
I'd like to know who got it.
You'd like to know?
Yeah, I want to put you on screen so you could actually tell us in all your joy.
No, oh my God.
Who is the winner of the trivia contest, Susie?
David Dennis got it.
David Dennis?
David,
What is the answer?
he said Rick Johnson.
You are right. Rick Johnson. In 1987, he was on fire, absolutely unstoppable. Ricky Johnson won the 250 and 500cc outdoor nationals. He won both of them. I got a little something to back up the trivia question here. And here you see it, 1987 AMA 250 and 500 champion, 88 500 supercross and outdoor. And he just tore everything up that year, Ricky Johnson. And yeah, how about those teeth on Johnson?
He wins the
What?
the Enduro taillight.
Yeah, and his name is, one more time, let me write it down.
David Dennis.
David Dennis.
The Enduro taillight assembly.
You-
courtesy of Preston Petty Products.
Get us your email or mailing address.
Yeah.
Get us your mailing address, David. We will send that to you. Compliments of Paul Standard and Preston Petty Products. I am going to take a little bit of a break right now, or maybe I'll go on. You know what? No. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about too?
What?
Last night on Facebook, I asked for bikes for the Moto Showcase tonight. Not all, the first one to answer was Bob Sawicki. That's why I put his bike on first. Vince Powers, JC Backus, Lincoln Smith, and Claude Jaguar. I think that's how you pronounce it, Jaguari. They all responded. I have all of your bikes in the queue for the next 4 weeks. I want to thank everybody who responded, especially these 4 guys who really, really came through for me. But congratulations to Bob Sawicki again. All right. I am going to move on with the Did You Know segment. And then we'll take a break and get back with some more stuff from Paul Parkinson, and we'll wrap up the show. But Jeff Kokoski, a wonderful contributor to the show, spends all of his free time going to fairs throughout the Northeast and eating pepperoni pizza with his wife. There's a picture of him right there if you don't believe me. Did you know the story of Velcro? The simple invention that can be found in almost every modern kidney belt, booter, gaiter, nylon motocross pants, no matter where you go. Sometimes they're even on the venerable Swiss Army knife. You might even have a roll of it in your shop. We are talking about Velcro. But did you know how Velcro came about? Hint, it was NASA. Our story begins in 1941 in Switzerland when George de Mastrel, an electrical engineer, went for a walk in the Swiss Alps and wondered why seed pods from the burdock plant clung to his wool socks, his jacket, and to the fur of his dog. De Mastrel examined one of the seed pods under a microscope, and he had discovered that there were hundreds of tiny little hooks on the pod and easily attached to anything with a loop on it, such as clothing fibers, animal fur, even human hair. Hook and eye fasteners had been common for centuries, but de Mastrel saw the possibility of binding the two materials together quicker and more securely in a similar fashion if he could figure out how to duplicate the hooks and loops on a much, much smaller scale, just like this right here. Does that look like the stuff that's on the back of a bra? Mm-hmm. Enough about that tonight. Hook and eye fasteners, like buttons and snaps, had a one-to-one relationship between the hook and its corresponding eye, while de Mastrel's idea was to have an indeterminate number of matchups between the hooks and the loops, thus creating a more continuous and stronger enclosure. Although his idea made practical sense, producing a product that mimicked nature was a long and frustrating process. De Mistral initially tried to create his hook and loop fastener using cotton strips, but he soon found out the cotton strips wouldn't last very long. As a result, de Mistral shifted his focus on a synthetic fiber and eventually selected the recently invented nylon. Here we have some right here. De Mistral discovered the nylon didn't fray. It maintained its shape. It didn't attract mold when wet and could be produced in threads of varying thickness. On the verge of giving up, while at the trip to the barbershop, he discovered a pair of barber clippers that could trim the top of the loops, thus creating hooks that matched up perfectly with the loops in a corresponding nylon fabric. It took him 10 years to create it, and he mechanized the process that worked very, very efficiently. De Mistral submitted the idea to a patent in Switzerland in 1951. He got the patent in 1955. He called the product Velcro, blending the name of French words velour, from velvet, and crochet, for hook, Velcro. Within a few years, he obtained patents in most of European countries, as well as the US. By 1958, his product was known as the zipperless zipper. However, Velcro got its first big break in 1959 when an up-and-coming aerospace program saw it, and they wanted to help their astronauts maneuver it in a bulky spacesuits. Next, skiers saw it again advantage. So did the astronauts, and it got easier and easier to take on and off. Soon, Velcro was a utilitarian item that helped people in scuba, children's clothes. They helped parents. They got away with snaps on even diaper pins were replaced with the Velcro. 1978, de Mistral's patent on Velcro expired, prompting a flood of low-cost imitations throughout the world. Today, Velcro has over 300 trademarks and it's registered in over 159 countries. Although Mistral passed away in 1990 at age 82, his legacy lives on. Velcro is recognized around the world in virtually every industry to adhere, fix, fasten, and secure almost anything that can be identified by its iconic, reassuring, fastening sound. And we all know what that sounds exactly like. Hey, Suze? Oh, never mind. I'm going to go to a commercial and I'm going to fix that light in just a minute. So we are going to hear from our friend Replica Motorcycle Parts. Then we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A in just a couple of minutes, okay? Replica Motorcycle Parts in the queue. You know, I spent some time with Paul Parkinson. Oh, I got another video for you too. But I can't tell you about that just yet. Let's talk about Paul Parkinson. Then we'll bring you a nice video later on from Langston's, and it's got to do with Makos, and I've got some other cool stuff for you too. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paul Parkinson with Replica Motorcycle Parts. I'm sitting here with our test bike, which is ridden by Jerry Maddox. Carries the #1 plate in the US. So let's go over a couple of the parts that we've got on here. We've got our ignition cover with the case saver built into it, so that when the chain comes off, you're not damaging your cases. Spacer, foot pegs. Jerry runs our air box. Seat brackets, keeps the seat on tight so he doesn't fall off when he's going over the whoops. And then this side, Jerry runs a couple little things, a lot of little rubber parts on the bike, and that stuff are all done by us. And then down here we've got our brake pedal, which has got needle bearings in there, and then it's got a wider toe peg, so it gives them a real nice, clean, easy to use brake. And then this is our latest part. This is a CR250 type knuckle. In fact, Honda used them on the last versions of the MR175, and this is a real trick aluminum starter arm, so that gives them lightweight, strength, and reliability more than anything else. Reliability.
Yeah, I want to thank Paul Parkinson and ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. They've been a good sponsor of the show. They've got some great products. In fact, I was with Paul Parkinson for a good 2.5 days down at the Langston Motorsports Bike Show. And let me just say this. Let me show you this. Gas cap for 1974, 75 Kawasaki KX 125, 250, and 400. Paul Parkinson makes it. It is made out of nylon. It's an exact replica of the one that came on the bike stock. And you know what? We could talk about prices here, but I encourage you to go over to the website. Besides, you're not going to find this. You're not going to find this gas cap anywhere. You might find an NOS, and somebody's going to charge you through the nose to get it. You'll always make more money But if you got to pay a couple of bucks more to get a bike finished up and out of your shop or into your showroom, you want to see replicamotorcycleparts.com. Two more great parts right here that go on the KX250 and 400. These are the little rubber pieces that go under the fender clamp on the back. It goes over the frame rail, the frame loop on your bike, and on top of the fender. Another part, long gone, guaranteed. God bless you, Susie. From the 400 is this countershaft cover right here. All that is available at replicamotorcycleparts.com. Paul Parkinson, Sr., thank you so much for all you do for the sport of vintage motocross and all the fabulous parts. He makes over 330 parts now. 330 parts. ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. You hear me talk about the last couple of weeks, the Langston Motorsport Bike Show. It was just last weekend down there in beautiful Southern California. I had a fabulous time. Thank you, Gerald, Grant, and Amanda Langston. While I was there, I made a little video, and I made it because, we don't do too much, or we haven't heard too much from any Mako sponsors here on the show. And I really like Gary Quartz. He's a good guy. He's helped me out a few times, and I know he's helped out a lot of other people as well. So I took some time to make a little video of Gary Quartz talking about some Makos. Let's see what Gary had to say. This is today here too. So before we get to talk about Makos, tell us about your t-shirt business.
We're in our 43rd year of business, and we do t-shirts and embroidery, and my son and daughter run it anymore. I have no idea what goes on over there.
What is the website address if people want to have shirts made by you?
PromotionTshirts.com.
You've got some amazing Makos here again this year, Gary, just like other years. Tell us what's so special about this 81 Mako at this time.
Well, Grant Langston's been riding this bike for almost 7 years now. Yeah, he also rides his 74 occasionally.
Now, when you say Grant rides this bike, he has ridden it competitively?
Yes, he's raced it. I've got some photographs of him. Grant is an amazing rider.
This is his steed when he does race some of the local events. What about this MC 440? Tell us about what year that is. It looks like it's got some special modifications on it too. What's happening here, Gary?
Both of these are modern vintage bikes. They lack nothing. This one here is a Wheelsmith frame modified, 440 engine, 81 clutch, Magnum cylinders, aftermarket pipes, Talon billet hubs, Excel wheels. Lacks nothing.
All these trick parts on this bike, are they available from SoCal Mako?
Most of them are.
Okay. Gary Quartz, SoCal Mako, supplying all the Mako enthusiasts throughout America, really, and probably the world. Yeah, right. Gary Quartz, thank you for all you do for the sport of vintage motocross, and also thank you for all you do to help this show take place every year. Gary Quartz.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that from Gary Quartz and SoCal Mako. Gary Quartz, if you're watching, maybe we should get together on some things and try and work out a sponsorship program for you. I don't have anybody selling any Mako stuff here. And you know what's great about Gary Quartz, too? He picks up the phone and answers emails. Okay? Gary Quartz. This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X, available on your newsstand and online right now. 1970. What happened there, Susie?
I don't know.
A pair of Inter-Am races were held on this weekend, with the first actually going off on Friday night, October 30th, at Ascot Park under the lights, and the second at Moore Park on November 1st in what is called the Los Angeles Grand Prix. Mako riders won both, as Willie Bauer won the Friday night event over Aki Janssen, and Janssen won on Sunday at the Los Angeles GP. Top American rider in those events was AJS-mounted Jim West, who actually took a third in both of those events. Pretty interesting situation there. And what else? It was over here. This is what I was looking for. Such a cool picture of the late, great Joe Robert. Meanwhile, the rival Trans Am Series was going off in Franklin, Georgia, and Suzuki's Joel Robert kept on rolling, winning all 3 motos that day. The great Joel Robert, 6-time world champion, 250. My dear friend, Steve Wise, 1981 for the second year in a row. The versatile Steve Wise won the ABC Superbikers competition at Carlsbad Raceway. This time it was a Waterworks RC 500 Honda. Wise, an AMA Pro Motocross and Supercross winner, was taking more and more of a liking to the flat track and road racing scene and would soon use his prowess in ABC's made-for-TV Superbikers event to cross over to that format of racing. That's what's happening this week in motocross history. It won't be long. The York Swap Meet will be here. That happens on Sunday, January 12th at York, Pennsylvania. The night before is the Potomac Vintage Riders Awards Banquet. It's fabulous. The food is great. If you haven't gotten a ticket, try and get one. It's a really, really good time on a Saturday night, and the York Swap Meet on Sunday is a fabulous time as well. I want to thank Bill Nazelrod and Mike Slate. I was upset a few years ago. I mean, not pull my hair out upset, but I was upset that I had to be the judge and pick some of the bikes in this show. An exceptionally difficult job. There are literally hundreds. I decided, because there are other people judging with me, that if something tickled my fancy, so to speak, I'm going to bring an award and I'm going to give it to that person if they don't take a first, second, or third place in one of these classes. This year, Vintage Motocross Q&A will have some beautiful plaques once again to give to some people there at the York Swap Meet. And that's what we're doing. But in the meantime, once again, it happens on January 12th. All right?
But they want shirts.
You want shirts? Tell me now. I'll bring over some Vintage Motocross Q&A shirts. But the most important thing is, read my lips, Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Then it'll be Christmas. Your wife will have you hopping around like a chicken without a head, going shopping, getting ready. You're going to have guests coming over, in-laws that you despise, and you're not going to have any time to get your stuff together for the York Swap Meet. Think about that each weekend or whenever you have some free time, all right? I am now going to run a video that was sent in to us by Jerry Maddox. It's really interesting. He talks most of the way through it, but he gives some really great visuals. And you'll see some other stuff along the way. It is about jetting, and we're going to let this run. It's going to take a few minutes, and then we'll be back to wrap up this week's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A, and we will also tell you who is our viewer appreciation winner tonight, okay? We'll get right back to that after we watch the Jerry Maddox video, and we'll be right back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Hey Dad, what are you doing?
I'm jetting your bike so it'll be really fast and really cool.
He's trying to look fast and cool too.
Dad, could you explain jetting for us dumb kids to know how it works?
All right, kids, watch this. Take that out, put that in, try that.
Can't get enough.
That's right, that's lean. Okay, now I want you to try this big fat one. That's what being rich feels like. All right, now try this one. How's that one?
It's pretty good.
That's perfect jetting. Now, watch this, guys. Try that.
I can't get enough. I'm only getting air.
That's an intake manifold leak. There is your jetting 101. Hey guys, as you can see, I really enjoy teaching the kids about jetting. We use fun techniques to show how important it is. For the rest of the free speaking world, we have to be a little bit more serious about it. I get accused a lot at the races of messing with my carburetor so much that they wonder what I'm doing all the time. The fact is, I rejet my bike every race. Sometimes how to jet, just mostly what you need to know before you start taking your bike out and trying to do the best you can without tearing the motorcycle up. First and foremost, when I'm headed to a race, the first thing I do is I look at what altitude am I at. Am I at sea level down in Florida? Am I up in the mountains of Colorado? Am I somewhere out in the Arizona desert? Am I in New York? because I've been to all of them this year. And the fact of the matter is air density changes as you go up and down, so must your jetting. So technically, it works like this. If we're going to go down south, we're going to race in Florida, we're likely going to be in the sand, and we're very likely going to be at sea level altitude. So we're going to want to richen up the jetting on our bikes. We want to change those main jets out, maybe sometimes 1 and 2 sizes bigger. In my case, I've gone as much as 4 sizes bigger to get the bike happy. So again, in theory, the altitude drops, the jetting goes up, or a richer setting. Now, how do you know when you're too rich or too lean? Okay, for me, you know, everybody's talked about doing plug checks, the color of your plug. That is very critical. It is. But for me, I've become a bit of an Elsinore whisperer. I listen to my bike. I can tell the second we go onto the track if it's rich or lean, and I can hear your bike too. And so since I go out with a little bit of foreground knowledge, knowing what's going to happen, what my altitude is, what things are happening, you know, I can kind of get my jetting close. But to dial it in, I listen. And before I even go into that, I always err on the side of safety first. And by safety, I mean my engine safety. I will always run a tad rich. I will, even if it means just that little lack of performance, just that little bit. Because in vintage racing, guys, you want to be national champion, you must finish the race every time. You must do well every time. So with that said, it's important that the bike stays right. Now, so, you know, how do I know? How do I know? Here's one of the best kept secrets in the world. And it's not necessarily a good one. If your bike's running the best you think it's ever run in its life, it's probably about to blow up. That's where the old cliche came from. Hey, it was running good right before it blew up. Well, of course it was, because your bike was so lean, that fuel air mixture was going in at a velocity that just made that bike run fast. But without the fuel mixture coming in, you don't have any lubricant and you don't have any cooling. You see, on an air-cooled 2-stroke engine, the motor must receive its lubricant from the premixed gas, and the more fuel that you can push into that air mixture, the cooler that bike will run. And heat is your enemy, particularly on a 125. So going back to that, we want to run our mixture as rich as we can to flood the engine with as much fuel as your engine can take. How do I know when mine's right? The day before the race, I'll go do a test run. I'll either go onto the track or I'll go out somewhere where I can run the bike to full RPM, and I'll listen to it. And if it's just gurgling, hiccuping, spitting, and coughing, I know I'm too rich. I'm basically choking the bike out. So I drop my main jet until that condition stops, and I'll go down 1 size at a time. So when I drop and I find that sweet spot, it's at that point, then I start doing my plug color checking. I'll do a couple of high-speed runs with a throttle wide open, chop the kill button, and bring it in and take a look. And I'm looking for color in the plug. I don't want to see whites. I prefer not to see gray. I like to see a nice chocolate brown. With some of the high-tech racing fuels that we use today, it's really hard to get color sometimes. But if you can get outside of that gray zone and start darkening up that plug a little bit, you're getting good. So there's that part. Now, back to the atmosphere. Back to things that are happening around you. The things that you can't really control is the weather. So another trick is, I already said, if we go to low altitude and we have to richen the thing up, inversely, if we go to Colorado and we're racing at 5,000 feet, we have to lean that motorcycle out. So that main jet is going to drop a lot. Your pilot circuit may drop some, but that main jet is going to come way down and to compensate for the air. But it's not just how high you are, how low you are, it's the temperature of the day. So if you're really cold, maybe you're down into the 40s, you're going to have to richen that engine up. And if you're up at 100 degrees, you're going to have to lean the engine out. True story. Just a few weeks ago, I found myself in Texas on the hottest day of the year, I do believe. And I went out in the moto and literally felt my jetting change in the middle of the moto. As the temperature was climbing through the morning, the jetting was being adjusted. So I started out the moto, it was pretty good, but by the end of the moto, the bike was spitting and sputtering. It had taken on a rich condition. Not only can that happen during a race, but it can happen between motos, and it will certainly happen between races. So one of my ending stories is, or one of my ending comments and or advice is, don't take your bike for granted race to race. Rejet every race, or at the very least, retest everything before every race. Take notes if you're traveling around the country like we do. Take notes to where you are, so next year it'll be a little easier to get you a good baseline. But I have friends come up to me and they go, I don't understand why my bike's not running good today. It ran perfect last week. Well, last week you're in California. This week you're in Texas. Next week you're going to be in New York. That is the reason why. So it's mission critical, guys, that we make sure our jetting is spot on. Not only every race, every moto. Thank you very much. Man, I hope you have a great day. If I can ever help you in any way, please reach out to me. I have a lot of knowledge on jetting, ignition, timing, compression, things like that that can make your 125 run a lot better. I'm an open book to anybody that cares to ask. Have a great day, and I appreciate you.
Jerry Maddox. He sure is a fountain of information. He's out there this week, just about ready to wrap up his third national championship as a 125 expert. As I promised you earlier in the show, we were going to have a viewer appreciation prize, and that prize is going to be a set of grips. Susie, what do we got?
That winner is Alex Bogert.
Alex Bogert.
Alex Bogert. Yeah, viewer appreciation.
All right, Alex Bogert. Get us your mailing address. We will get you a set of grips compliments of Preston Petty Products and Paul Stannard. Well, I think that wraps it up for this week's Vintage Motocross Q&A. I got one of my hats on here, and I would appreciate it if you bought one. So would Susie. And some stickers. Don't forget our new sponsor, Larry Winters. And what's that business called, Susie? Sirius
Studio.
Sirius Studios. Let's get a good look at that thing one more time. Where do I have it? Sirius Studios. There it is. There's the hat. There's the shirt. And there's Larry Winters himself. Okay. Susie, get me a dog. People like to see the dog. Sit up! Come on, Gino. Come on, Poochie. Oh, there he is. Okay. That wraps it up for this week's Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you, all our sponsors and all your viewers. And congratulations to
Alex Bogert.
Alex Bogert. David Dennis. And Bob Sawicki. Alan Huey. Boy, we gave away a lot of stuff here on the show tonight, huh? That's why we do it at Vintage Motocross Q&A. The Lord loves a cheerful giver. We'll see you next time.